The fire took her, my sister wife, my other half. I watched her burn from the inside out, until the birthing bed held nothing but a pile of gray, cooling ash. I stood in the silence of that room for days, the air thick with the scent of smoke and finality. I could not let her go. Grief is a heavy, physical weight, but it was not enough to keep me anchored to the living world. I turned away from the light and began to walk. The path down was not a road, but a collapse. I stepped off the edge of the world and fell into the rot. The air in Yomi did not move. It tasted of wet, breathing dirt and stagnant water. There were no stars, no moon, no horizon. Only the suffocating press of a night that had no end. I stumbled through the void, hands outstretched, feeling for a shape in the dark. My lungs burned with the effort of breathing air that had been recycled by the dead for eternity. I kept moving. I had to find her. The land of the rotting night swallowed my footsteps, but I pressed forward into the black, driven by the memory of a voice that was already fading. A sound cut through the oppressive quiet, not a wind, but a vibration in the air. It was a voice, thin and brittle, like dry leaves skittering over stone. Izanagi, you came. I lunged toward the source, but my hands met only empty, freezing mist. She was there, somewhere in the gloom, but I could not find the shape of her. I have eaten the food of this place, she said, and the words carried a finality that made the ground beneath me tremble. The dead who eat the food of Yomi cannot return. I stopped, my breath hitching in my chest. I wanted to reach out, to pull her back into the light, but her presence felt distant, tethered to the rot. Do not look at me, she commanded. Her voice was sharp, a sharp edge against the heavy air. Wait here. I will ask the old gods for release. I stood frozen, my palms pressed against the humid, suffocating dark. I could hear her movement, a slow, dragging shuffle that receded into the shadows. I was left alone in the absolute black, listening to the drip of stagnant water somewhere in the distance, waiting for a promise that felt like a lie. I waited. One breath. Two. The silence stretched until it felt like a physical weight pressing against my eardrums. In the world above, silence is a lack of sound. Here, in the belly of Yomi, silence was a living thing that hunted. It crawled over my skin, cold and deliberate. I stood perfectly still, but the air around me thickened, becoming dense and sluggish like oil. Every muscle in my body coiled, anticipating a strike that never came. The darkness was not just an absence of light, it was a hungry, suffocating entity. It pressed against my chest, demanding I submit to the gloom. I reached for the torch at my side, my fingers trembling against the rough, damp wood. The uncertainty was a jagged blade in my gut. I could not stand the not knowing. I could not stand the feeling of being watched by the very shadows I breathed. My heart hammered against my ribs, a frantic rhythm that felt like a betrayal of my own stillness. I struck the flint. The spark was a sudden, violent intrusion of orange against the oppressive black. I held my breath, the flame sputtering to life, and watched as the light reached out to carve a hole in the void. The flame flickered, casting long, dancing shadows that revealed what the darkness had tried to hide. I gasped, the sound choking in my throat. Where she had stood, a mass of corruption remained. Maggots pulsed within the hollows of her skull, rippling through the rot that had replaced her features. Her mouth was locked in a jagged eternal scream, and a wet, rattling sound emanated from her chest like distant thunder. She turned, her movements jerky and unnatural. You have shamed me, she hissed, the words vibrating with the stench of the grave. She did not merely look at me. She unleashed a command that tore through the silence. From the corners of the void, 8 shapes detached themselves from the gloom. They were hags, their fingers ending in rusted, curved hooks that scraped against the stone floor. They lunged. The air turned frigid as their hunger filled the space. My divinity shattered. The calm of the heavens was gone, replaced by a raw, frantic need for air and distance. I turned and sprinted. My feet struck the jagged, uneven ground, tearing skin and bone, but I did not stop. Behind me, The hags skittered, their claws clicking against the rock, closing the distance with every ragged breath I drew. I ran until my lungs burned like fire, the sound of clicking claws closing in behind me. I reached into my hair, ripped the crown from my scalp, and flung it into the dark. It hit the ground and burst into a wild tangle of grapes. The hags slowed, their hooks tearing into the fruit, distracted by the sudden growth. I did not look back. I snatched the comb from my head and threw it behind me. Immediately, sharp bamboo shoots erupted from the stone, creating a wall of jagged wood. I gained precious seconds, my feet pounding against the uneven rock as I scrambled toward the narrow pass between worlds. The scent of rot grew faint, replaced by the sharp, metallic tang of the living air. I reached the threshold. A massive, immovable boulder sat waiting. I threw my entire weight against the gray stone, grunting as my muscles screamed in protest. It groaned and slid, sealing the gap with a final, booming thud. On the other side, she slammed into the barrier, her rage vibrating through the rock. "I will kill 1,000 of your people each day," she shrieked. I braced my feet, my pulse hammering in my ears, and threw my voice into the void. "Then I will give life to 1,500. The silence that followed was heavy, absolute, and final. The stench of the grave clung to my skin like a second layer of rot. I reached the riverbank, the water flowing cold and sharp as a broken promise. I stripped away the remnants of my journey, the weight of Yomi dropping with the fabric. I waded into the current. I scrubbed until my flesh turned raw and stinging, scouring every inch of my body to remove the clinging residue of the dead. The water grew dark, swirling with the filth of my descent. I plunged my face into the icy flow. As I rinsed my left eye, a sudden brilliance fractured the gloom. A golden light erupted from the water, Amaterasu, the sun, blinding and absolute. The darkness retreated, cowed by the radiance. I washed my right eye. From the depths, the cool, silver calm of Tsukuyomi, the moon, rose to judge the night. Finally, I cleared my nose, and the air split with the roar of a gathering gale. Susanoo, the storm, emerged, his power crackling against the current. 3 gods birthed from my decay. That is the truth of existence. You scrub away the rot, and life bubbles up regardless. The river carried the filth away, leaving me standing in the light of my own children. I built a shrine facing away from that boulder, a monument to a boundary I never dared to cross again. The sun shines, the moon watches, the storm rages. I am the father of gods, yet I remain the coward who fled from the face of his wife. In the absolute quiet of the mountains, the wind plays tricks on my mind. I hear the rhythmic rasp of her nails against the stone, a sound that never truly stops. The hags giggle in the shadows of my memory. The maggots hum a song of decay. Do not follow love into the underworld. The living do not belong among the eaten. I am clean, but the stench of the grave is etched into my senses. I cannot wash away the knowledge of what she became. She is the queen of everything that crawls, and I am the man who left her behind. The dog remembers my footsteps. It waits for the day I finally stop running.
Lazy viewers get silence. Heroes, like, sub, bell, and comment. Epic Mythos Unveiled thanks the heroes. Be one. From everyone at Epic Mythos Unveiled, thanks for your support, and thank you for watching.